When we have the chance to swap a smaller piece for a bigger piece, we usually should. When we have the chance to swap a piece for an equally sized piece, we shouldn't if our opponent can recapture with a developing move. Here's another Morphy game that shows that principle. White played this game without the Queen Knight. You'll see in many of Morphy's odds games that the absence of the Queen Knight helped because it makes it easier for the Queen Rook to develop. And in this game, his unnamed opponent enabled the Queen Rook's development to come even faster, and that led to Black's defeat. F4 is designed to help White gain control of the center by deflecting the black pawn away from the center or perhaps capturing it. Now White can't play his desired d4 too soon because Queen h4 would be a nasty check, so Knight f3 anticipates that. The modern way of thinking is that g5 is a good move in this position because this little pawn structure stops the white bishop from developing easily on f4. But in the 1800s, they weren't thinking about g5 as a positional deterrent. They were thinking about g5 as a means to push to g4 to drive this knight away before making this check. But White can ignore the threat, and when Black captures, White develops with the recapture. In the Museo Gambit, it's not even an even trade that's helping one side develop. It's a piece sacrifice that helps one side develop. So it's a greater investment for the white side. But you can see that after White castles to put the rook on the f line, that after Queen f3 and the clearing of the f4 pawn, the queen, the rook, and the bishop all coordinate so well against f7, while all the black pieces are snoozing. Now, Black mustn't play fg because he'll fall further behind in development, but bishop h6 looks so illogical. When it was a pawn on g5 holding up the f4 pawn, that was a much sturdier wall against this bishop and this rook crashing down the f-file and across this diagonal. So White's pieces come forward with the recapture. For a successful attack on the enemy king, we usually have to have better center control. White's got better center control. Better development. 1, 2, 3 pieces developed to 2. And better king safety. White's already castled here, but a third piece sacrifice. White started without a b1 knight, sacrificed another on f3. A third piece sacrifice sends the black king on a walk, so White is always assured of better king safety. After bishop f4, Black surely must advance his d-pawn to d6 or d5 in order to develop his queenside pieces. Bishop f4 is a wretched move because White develops with the recapture. So the rook comes forward with a threat of rook f7 mate, while f1 is cleared for the other rook to play. After rook a f1, now the threat is rook g4, followed by mate in a couple moves. Queen e8 is the only move here. But white isn't slowed down. Now the threat is queen f6 plus queen h6, after which a checkmate follows on f8. So black played d6 plus bishop d7 so that his rook looks over f8. Now, the newly developed bishop also watches over g4. So the f4 rook can't get over to the g file to continue this attack until it takes a step backward, so we can use g3 as the next attacking move. Black sends some force over to protect the king side. White brings up some more new force of his own. If black plays bishop f3 here, then g7 will trap the rook, and white will emerge with a better endgame. But hg is the last mistake, enabling white to finish with the picturesque epaulettes checkmate, where the rooks look like the king's ribbons on his shoulders. So black lost this game for bringing up his opponent's pieces with untimely trades. Coming next on the Scobar Chess Channel, a Capablanca game that shows the exchanging with loss of time principle in a more modern, grandmasterly setting.